Most people search for cheap R2D cars and end up with the same boring answers, whatever has the most horsepower for the least money. But if your goal is corner speed, cars that feel alive on a twisty backroad, rotate predictably, talk through the steering wheel, and don't fall apart when you push them, then the best under $5,000 isn't about power. It's about balance, weight, steering, suspension geometry, and the kind of chassis that makes you confident instead of terrified. In the USA market, $5,000 usually means you're shopping older cars with higher mileage, so you have to be strategic, prioritize condition, maintenance history, and a platform that's cheap to keep tight. Because on a corner car, worn bushings and dead shocks ruin everything more than low horsepower ever could. Before we get into the cars, here's the mindset that will save you money and make the car faster in the real world. The best first mod for a cheap corner car is maintenance, good tires, fresh brake fluid, decent pads, and suspension that isn't blown. A Ford 500 car on great tires will embarrass a $5,000 car on dry, rotted junk. Also, don't chase huge wheels. Light wheels, good tires, and proper alignment are how you turn a cheap R2D into a corner monster. And when you're test driving, listen for clunks over bumps, feel for steering looseness, and check if the car tracks straight under braking. Those are the signs that it's going to need more money than you planned. The first and most obvious king of cheap cornering is the Mazda Miata, especially the NA and NB generations. People call it slow, but that's the whole point. You can drive it hard without instantly doing triple digits, and it rewards clean technique like nothing else. It's light, it has near-perfect proportions for a simple R2D platform, and it has the kind of steering feel modern cars can't touch. On a tight road, the Miata doesn't need power because it carries speed. It also has one of the biggest communities in the world, meaning parts are cheap, knowledge is everywhere, and suspension setups are basically solved. Under $5,000 in the USA, you're likely buying a higher mileage example, maybe with cosmetic flaws, but if the chassis is straight and rust isn't destroying the underside, it can be the most fun corner car you'll ever own for the money. If you want inspiration for the Canyon vibe, you can see how well a Miata fits that role in this Canyon Tudge style content source and enthusiast imagery like this Miata Canyon feature source. Second, if you want something that feels more stable at speed, more grown up, and still extremely rewarding, the BMW E36 3 Series is one of the best corner platforms you can buy cheap. You shop carefully. The E36 has classic BMW balance, rear-wheel drive, and suspension geometry that makes sense for driving hard. It can be playful but also planned, and it's a real driver's car when it's not worn out. The catch is that cheap E36 cars can be neglected. Cooling systems, bushings, and random maintenance items add up. But if you find one that's been cared for, or you budget correctly, an E36 becomes an incredibly adjustable corner car with real feedback and great weight transfer behavior. Track day communities still love them because they're simple enough to work on and capable enough to learn serious car control. Here's a good example of an E36 being used as a serious track-focused chassis. Source third, the Lexus IS300's first generation is an underrated corner car choice because it combines a solid chassis with Toyota-level durability and its RWD with a naturally balanced feel for a compact sedan. It's heavier than a Miata, so it won't feel as knife-edge, but it's stable, predictable, and takes suspension upgrades well. The big advantage is that it's a car you can actually live with, comfortable, reliable, and not constantly threatening to break your wallet. Under $5,000, expect high miles and maybe cosmetic wear, but many of these cars keep going forever if maintenance was even half decent. Enthusiasts often use IS300s for both grip and drift because the platform is so forgiving and controllable, great traits for corner driving too. If you want to see how the platform is viewed in the enthusiast world, here's a solid overview. Source fourth, the Infiniti G35 QPC or sedan can be a very strong cheap corner car if you can find one that hasn't been abused. It's not as light as the Miata, and it won't feel as delicate or communicative, but the chassis is capable, the wheelbase gives stability, and the VQ power makes it easy to exit corners hard. The real trick is avoiding the typical cheap G35 problems, clapped interiors, poor alignment, cheap coilovers, and questionable previous owner decisions. Find a clean-ish one with stock or quality parts, and you've got a fast backroad car that can do canyon runs all day. For a general reference on the G35 Coupe as a sporty platform, here's a period road test source and an example of the mountain road vibe people chase with this chassis. Source fifth, if you want a V8 option under $5,000 that can still be made to corner well, the SN95 Mustang can work, specifically if you approach it with the right expectations. Stock, an old Mustang is more muscle than canyon car, but the aftermarket support is massive, and suspension improvements transform them. The danger is buying the wrong one. Worn front-end parts, tired shocks, and cheap lowering springs can make it feel sketchy. But a well-sorted SN95 with decent suspension parts, good tires, and fresh brakes becomes surprisingly fun on a back road, with that classic RWD attitude and power coming out of turns. If you're curious about how people improve SN95 handling, here's an example focused on suspension upgrade. Source. Now, here's the buying strategy that matters more than the list. Under $5,000, you're not shopping the perfect model. You're shopping the cleanest example you can find. A pristine Miata beats a neglected Miata every time. A maintained E36 is a dream, a neglected one is a money pit. The best approach is to search locally, expand your radius, and reserve part of your budget immediately for tires and maintenance. If you only have $5,000 in total, try to buy the car for $3,500 and keep the rest for repairs, because every cheap corner car needs something. If you want a simple starter setup that makes almost any of these cars instantly better at cornering, it's this: a good set of tires, fresh brake fluid, quality pads, and an alignment with a bit more negative camber within what your car and local shop can support. That combo changes the whole personality of the car. After that, only then think about sway bars, shocks, and bushings. Don't build a spec sheet. Build a car that feels tight, predictable, and fun. If you tell me which of these you're leaning toward, the E36, IS300 G35, or SN95, I can tailor a follow-up that includes what years to target, common problems to check, and the first 3 mods that improve cornering without ruining reliability.